When I wake up in the morning, I begin to scan news sites across the globe, literally. And I especially concentrate on the Middle East. I'm just looking for those things taking place in our world that fit what the Bible describes in terms of the events that will occur just before the return of Jesus Christ. Inevitably, I find two or three things that immediately cause me all the more to literally long for his appearing, to get excited about the prospect that perhaps today could be the day. We've been sharing these with some of our friends. I'd love to share these with you. But take, for example, one recent news clipping, one that I found very intriguing in light of the possibility of the literal fulfillment of Revelation chapter 13. Now, in Revelation chapter 13, we have two beasts that surface. The first is known as the Antichrist. The second beast is actually a false prophet that magnifies the Antichrist. And then we read in chapter 13, verse 16, also it causes all, the false prophet does, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead. Now get what it says in verse 17, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. In other words, global control of the buying and selling of goods. Now, the mark of the beast, the 666, it's open to a lot of debate as to exactly what that is, but it's obvious that what it accomplishes is this. You can't buy, you can't sell, you can't be part of the system unless you take the mark, which is alignment with the Antichrist. It's the worship of the beast. If you refuse the mark, well, let's just say it's lights out. Now, could this be possible in the day in which we live? Well, consider what's going to take place in the months ahead in the city of Beijing. Beijing, China, one of the biggest cities in the world. The headline reads, Beijing to judge every resident, over 20 million, based on behavior by the end of 2020. It's a social credit system. And notice that citizens with poor scores will be unable to move a step. And by the way, if you've been beheaded, you're not going to be able to take too many steps. And by that, I am referring to what the Bible says will happen to those who refuse the mark of the beast and will not align with the system. Now, this Bloomberg article is rather fascinating because it goes on to point out that, as it says, those with better so-called social credit will get Green Channel benefits, while those who violate laws will find life more difficult. And so how will they pull this off? Well, they're going to link databases. And then they'll have a very detailed portrait of each and every resident in the city of Beijing, some 22 million, according to this article. Now, when John wrote the book of Revelation, there were probably about 300 million people in the world. Today, over 7 billion? But they're going to use data there in Beijing in order to accomplish this in our digital world. Notice it says accounts are generally linked to mobile phone numbers, which in turn require government IDs. Now, we are not saying this is the mark of the beast, but we do see that with modern technology, there could be the literal fulfillment of much of what we find in the book of Revelation, which means time may be short. Jesus Christ could soon return. I'm John Eder. This is Live the Word.